Thank you for listening to VIP Internet Radio. Tell your family and friends about us. We aim to please because life is more fun with entertainment.
You are listening to the VIP Business Talk Show with your host, Don Emilio Zinno, on VIPconnections.com Internet Radio.
Hello, North America, and welcome to a special segment of the VIP Business Talk Show. This is Don Emilio Zinno, your host, and our co-host all the way from New York, the Big Apple, Mr. Richard Smith. Rich. There you go. So I'm all by myself again. Okay. So I'm going to be, first of all, it's a special edition, folks, because this segment will only be lasting 30 minutes and without break, only because it is a special day for me and my family. It happens to be David, my oldest son, David's birthday today, October 16. And I want to wish you a happy birthday, David, if you're listening to this year's segment. And of course, I gotta scoot out of here and out for dinner at 7 p.m. So that's why we have it as a special segment. But folks, should you decide to embrace this segment, it's all about spend now or pay later. Rich, are you there? Not back yet. So it's spend now or pay later. What I mean by that, folks, is very simple, is that I'm looking at the economic climate around me across North America, actually across the world for that matter. And I happen to keep abreast with, all types of updates from Yahoo Finance and newspapers and, other radio people. And let me tell you, these guys kind of scare you all the time. They don't know what's happening. We're at a very, very crucial state of the, business world right now. We don't know what's going to be happening. The elections in the states, of course, are playing a major, major role. A lot of people are fear for the worst. Some people are stating that USA may run into another recession. Oh, God, I hope not. You guys, I'm telling you, is this the way you check my blood pressure, guys?
Yeah, we had to give you a run for your money.
Do you imagine that? You had to embarrass me live on air. Anyways, Richard, as I told you off air, today's subject matter happens to be with spend now or pay later. And what I meant by that, I was setting the stage for you and basically telling the people that there's mixed feelings out there. The elections has a lot to do with it, but basically, for example, America is afraid that you guys might go into another recession and then all hell would break loose. I personally believe that after the elections, things will start turning around very, very slowly but surely. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. It'll take a couple of years to get back up there to when, we used to do what we did right 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Personally, I think the stock market is going to correct itself within the next 60 days. So, Richard, do you believe in that statement of mine where spend now, pay later?
Well, I mean, spend now. I'm not sure if you're talking about another stimulus package or if you're talking about people going out and buying things in a retail outfit. I
mean, both, quite frankly.
Okay.
Both, because but with certain very strict terms and conditions, because I'd hate to see the Wall Street boys rake in that money and fill up their pockets offshore. There has to be an accountability. There has to be. It's impossible. And anybody hearing this here segment, I think you should take this to the bank. If governments give bailout packages, our money away to the Wall Street boys, we should really all hold hands and hold them accountable. Government and everyone who's responsible for that kind of fraud. F-R-A-U-D. That would be deemed fraud in my book.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, and if they want to jail me for expressing my true feelings, they can come and get me. I want to make sure that I can afford a porterhouse steak in jail because
the new law hasn't passed yet, so we're still legal. You can still have an opinion.
Right.
Freedom of
Right,
speech.
exactly. But it's unreal, Richard, because it's really, 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 this recession has lasted way too long for anybody's good likes. And, things have to turn around ASAP. And I mean now, within the next couple of months, put everything behind us. People need to start spending again. Like I was saying last week, if everybody took the liberty of spending $50 a day or investing, call it whatever you want, they're all buzzwords anyways, then money makes the world go round. You receive money from me, you turn around, take take your family out for dinner, then the restaurateur takes money and invests. It makes the world go round. We got to spend, or pay later. And I mean pay later, meaning we're going to suffer the consequences if we don't.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that in one sense. I mean, people are being very cautious with their spending right now because they're looking at what the banks believe. The banks have no confidence right now, and quite frankly, you can't blame them when you look around at the failure rate of the companies that get bailed out. So. Or get a gift like the green companies, aka Solyndra, and who knows what else. But one of the things that's interesting though is that sales on vehicles, cars, have gone up and quite a bit. And I'm not sure if it's because the deals are just so good that people are just saying, "The hell with it, let me get another car," or they've been holding off driving a beater for a while and saying, "I think I'm ready to buy another vehicle."
Right. But I'm saying, Richard, it all has to do with what you can afford. First of all, it's like you trying to entice me right now to lease a very expensive car without mentioning any make. And the reality is, I cannot afford, for example, a $1,000 lease per month. Never in a million years.
Well, you mean your 2011 Rolls Royce isn't good enough for you, Don?
The IRS may be listening. That's offshore.
Okay, yeah, all right. So
that's offshore.
Hey, we got to be VIP around here,
Yeah, but truthfully, what I believe is that there has to be a certain austerity program, but within the austerity program, people need to start spending again. Something that has to be very realistic, and markets have to adjust their prices. Like,
yeah,
for example,
I don't know if I could drop down to a 3 Series Beamer. I'm sorry. I need the 7. I'm just, I'm sorry. That's my bare minimum, Don.
I got you. You'd love my son, David. He's a connoisseur in that field. He knows a lot about Beamers. So
yeah, he knows a lot, but he's got no money to buy one, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it makes two of us, father and son. So, but shying away from that, I mean, in an austerity program that everybody's trying to embrace, and we need to do so, there's a way of kickstarting the economy if everyone starts spending and, getting away from the misers of the world where, they're penny pinching. You want to stay away from people like that. And I think I want to send a message to the world. Anybody that folks out there that that have a lot of money and are misers, just stay away from them. Just don't give them the satisfaction of yielding to their demands. And they'll get the message.
We shouldn't go to our local bank then. We were supposed to run away because they're a bunch of misers. They won't lend any money. So
there you go.
What a bunch of stingy misers.
There's other ways. Believe me, there's other ways. I've never once have I thought in the last 10 years, for that matter, of going to my bank to borrow money because I know what they do and how they think. No disrespect to them. I need a bank in my case to keep the few dollars I've got to do transactions, and I do everything according to the banking laws and, government laws. But quite frankly, I would never go to the bank to borrow on any project. I would try and find individuals, private lenders, things of that nature, and show them the big picture by creating a business plan of some kind and say, here are some of the facts. Here's where, you stand a chance of making, 10 extra points in the year, as compared to that 1% that the bank is going to give you on your money. And that may just entice them, to move forwards, that type of thing. But what I mean by misers is individuals, maybe those individuals that represent like, 3, 4, 5%, of the world population that are loaded with money, and they're very, very stingy. They don't want to do this, they don't want to pay for that, and they try to impress you with what they got. And some suckers go for that, but it doesn't work with me, because I tell those people straight to their faces, hey guy, it doesn't make it right just because you think you got all the money in the world that you're going to control me and others. I mean, find a sucker somewhere else. And that enrages them, because they're control freaks. They figure it out that their billions cannot control you. Just walk away from them. They'll get the message.
They just control the people that are pathetic around them, and that's really what it comes down to. But I think when we're looking at this economy that we're in right now, that we have to be very balanced at how we approach entering into this spending spree, because everybody got in trouble because they spent above what they're making, and now we're paying the piper for it, as a nation, not just as individuals. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the amount of money that our household spends a month on just groceries and everything else, I say, wow, this is a lot of money. And then if you add on excess things like going out to dinner and buying things, electronics or whatever, whatever we can do to stimulate the economy, you could get yourself into a nasty situation pretty quickly. So, I mean, we want to be responsible on all ends, including the government, because the government has just been draining the future taxes of this nation for years, and without even thinking about it, just with reckless abandon, like a teenager with a credit card, really, and a teenage girl at a shopping mall with a credit card. And the problem is that we keep increasing our debt limit on this. The debt ceiling keeps going up and up and up, and they don't have to stop spending. And that's a problem, because they're not talking to each other. They're just spending a lot of money. So I'm sure they're wasting a lot of money at the same time, and doing a lot of pet projects, and I'm going to hook my friend up and this and that. It's a disaster, really. I mean, we need to do a serious consideration of the candidates we're voting for, to see whether or not they have their lives together fiscally, because these guys are a mess. I mean, they have no ability to talk to one another, to debate anything. If they can't get an immediate vote on it, then they don't even bring it to the floor. So it just sits in the background until something important comes along, and they just lump it on. So who the heck knows what's in there? And, so that's reckless spending. That's like, doing something very silly, like handing a teenager a credit card with no limit.
Right. But there's a lot of changes in the world that I've been seeing in the last couple of years, Richard. Even up here in Montreal, where I reside, there's huge investigations going on, allegedly, between the construction industry in collusion with some dirty politicians, and that's an understatement when you say the word dirty in politics. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, my question on that is, so was it the corrupt company A that you want to investigate, or the corrupt company B, C, D, or E? Like they're all filling the pockets of these guys to get a shot at that work. Whether or not they do the work correctly, that's an issue. But that's really not the guys that are selecting them's problem. It's the ones that have to work with them afterward. But
right.
I mean, there's a lot of fraud and everything else going on in the government at levels that you would not believe. I mean, even probably paper contracts, for printing paper and everything, where they're just skimming off the top,
I don't know what the world is coming to. I mean, I mean, folks, don't get me wrong. We're not negative thinkers. I personally believe overall that 2013 is going to be a much better year than 2012. We've pretty much hit rock bottom. However, there is some truth to what I'm saying, is that people are still holding on, and we've yet to see what's going to happen in the next 60 days, meaning till Christmas. And we're going to be able to tell from there how quickly we are going to recover. Because personally, I think we are going to go recover, but it's going to be a slow process.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're afraid to call this the Great Depression of Y2K years, of the 21st century, because they really don't know how bad it's going to get before we even name it. But I think when we look back, we're going to see that this is either going to be the Great Evolution or the Great Depression, because depending upon how we act on election day and how things go, it's going to give a clear message on what direction the country's going to go in. And I know for a fact that if we continue on this healthcare track, we're in deep poop, because we don't have the money to finance this thing. And that means that it's all going to come back on us again, which means that, as I was saying in the past, you're looking at $10,000 per individual per family here. So we're really going to de-incentivize people from even working at that point. We're just going to say, hey, let's all just sit around and do nothing and maybe make some money off the books, because why be legitimate? Because they're just going to take it away from you. I mean, we're going to, right now they're saying we're at a 50% level of our taxation. So when you add in another 20% to that, so basically you get to keep 30% of what you make.
Hey, sounds like you're Canadian.
There you go. So we don't want to be in that situation, because, as you noted many a times, it creates a bunch of fat, lazy people when you do that.
Yep.
So we're trying not to do that. At least the people that have half a brain.
Yeah.
The other people that are just die-hard liberals for a cause, they're just blindly desiring this, panacea that doesn't exist, and they're going to come up to the edge and see that they pushed us off a deep, miry cliff, and we're in deep poop by the time they wake up. As a matter of fact, they might wake up after we're already, obliterated the way they act. But at least we got all those social programs in.
Right.
So,
Agreed.
So I mean, there's this imbalance of reality in Washington, D.C. right now. And quite frankly, it's filtered down to the states and the local governments too. Can I tell you, the last 4 years, about 4.5, 5 years in my township here, which is a pretty large one, it's called the Brookhaven Township. They've spent more money on putting in rock walls and recreation centers, repaving parking lots, and doing things like that. When you're supposed to be on an austerity budget, we didn't need to build another center for the bigwigs in office there to have nicer offices. They should be happy that they're not outside. Their office isn't outside. They should be happy with a trailer for all intents purposes. They're supposed to be public servants. We're not supposed to serve them. So now they have their palace, which is now the new recreation center for Brookhaven. That was about I think it was a $13 million job. And then they built up all these rock walls everywhere at every park entrance, each one of them coming up to about $250,000 for every entranceway of every park. And I'm saying to myself, what is this doing? This is not doing anything. This is just like taking money and flushing it down the toilet. But hey, the senior citizens like it, because they generate so much tax revenue because they go out and they buy nothing. So, because that's what generates tax revenue at the local level, is buying stuff. When you go to Best Buy or whatever and you buy a new big screen TV, guess who benefits? Your town. Your town benefits. When you go out to a restaurant, the town benefits a little bit. But when you go and buy groceries, no. When you go and you don't buy anything at the store, no. So we have a real problem here where we have people that are, once again, making choices like, oh, we want this to look nice. Well, we don't have the money, honey. Cut it out. Stop spending the freaking money.
Honey. That sounds like a great slogan, Rich.
There you go.
Richard, back to our theme, spend now or pay later. What would you if you were given the powers that be, meaning if you were the president of United States of America for one day, what would you change instantaneously, making us believe that things would start turning around? What would you implement?
Wow, in just one day? Wow, that's
One
a
day,
tough.
one day,
Wow, wow. What could you get accomplished in just one day?
one day. What would be that one factor that would make and stimulate people to start spending again, and the economy would start picking up slowly but surely?
I would say I would march into the UN and I'd say anybody messes with us, we're going to kick your ass. And that's
Why
it.
why would you say that, Rich?
Because they're pushing us around in the world. I think we've lost worldwide respect, and especially with this whole Israeli thing. This quote unquote president, great president here, is waffling on both sides of the issue, lying on both sides. He doesn't know who to support, and where we've always supported Israel in every form and function. We've gotten mad at them before when they've badly behaved, just like every other country. But if we're going to be in that position, people have to respect the authority of the president. Once people respect the authority of the president, and there's a definitive line that you're going to cross, that you're going to get smacked, well, then people start respecting you a little bit more, like the Frenchies and those other Europeans over there don't really have a lot of respect for us right now. So, and the Arabs as well, that whole region. So I think that if I only had one day, I would do that, and then probably go to Congress and say, if you guys don't start getting work done, I'm going to stop paying you, and we'll see what happens.
Wow, that I like that last part better. I think that's the answer that I was looking for.
Well, the first one was important, but the second one might have more to do with where you were going.
Yeah, because the first one is very political, and I stay away from politics, as you know.
Well,
But
you're
I meant
talking
that.
about getting the people to feel better, and that's something that I think people would ultimately feel better about. Even though there'll be the people that say, well, we can't only support them, and then. But, it really comes down to having a clear conscience, and then you can go into the Congress and say, we're going to clear out your bank accounts. Thank you, since you guys are stealing money. So, but I think that would be the best thing to do, and that's about all you can handle in a day, and they can't really do much more than that. And then maybe shut down the IRS. That would be my third thing.
Now wait a second. You're joking, aren't you?
No, because I'd say, let's implement a flat tax. Let's go, boom, 14%. Let's start at 14%. Let's see what kind of money that brings us. And flat tax across the board, because, most people after write-offs are well below that 14% mark.
So in other words,
most fat cats above that are able to hide it.
So imagine this. You're saying that everyone should be charged a 14% flat tax on all earnings, regardless of the expenses they have, right?
Correct.
And that would go a lot further than the 14% that US of A is probably not collecting on account of the black market.
Well, you got black market, and you got the. Don't forget that we have a lot of people employed to save us money from the IRS. So there would be a little bit of a problem. We'd have to figure out how to handle that. But the reality of the matter is that a flat tax would make the government run a lot more efficiently. It would get all those other people out of the way from keeping people from trying to establish a real life here, and not worrying about, oh no, did I not pay enough or whatever. Just pay what you got to pay, and that's it.
Richard, that is music to my ears. I've been advocating a flat tax up here in Canada, which is highly, highly taxed, for the last God knows how many years.
Well, keep in mind, I only had the job for one day, so you got to accomplish a lot in one day,
Yeah. So that is probably the best answer I've ever gotten from someone like you, and an American on top of that. A flat tax I would vote you in a heartbeat. I really mean that, because I think that a flat tax would solve all of the problems. No BS, no hidden agendas. Everybody's got to pay their fair share, and 14% on trillions of dollars earned per year would go a lot further than the alleged, 40% of the billions of dollars that are not being collected.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, so I would definitely vote for you, Richard. And I think that's a conversation that I definitely would like to pick up with you on some other show and make it a priority, because I think we'd get a lot of people tuning in when they, key tag or, Google flat tax. And I guess that particular show would pop up. I know I'd be listening to it, and it's exactly what I think needs to be done. And guess what? It would also make a lot of the U.S. corporations come back and headquarter themselves in the United States of America, and you wouldn't have any of that BS, like offshore.
Right. Yeah, you'd have to adjust, obviously, the corporate tax as well. But, yep, definitely. Yeah, the corporate taxes are way too high right now. I don't know what they were thinking, because it's very difficult to, make a business work here in America as is. So that's got to be adjusted as well.
Richard, I want to thank you for your time. Like I said, folks, we do apologize for personal reasons. It's my son's birthday, and we're cutting it short just for tonight. It's the first time in 5 years that I've done something.
Don's very hungry.
Don's very hungry, exactly. So I want to wish you all the best in health and in wealth. Rich Smith, thank you very much. So please tune in next week on the VIP Business Talk Show, where we bring you another normal segment on business matters. Have a great one.